Take 5, take 4.
Hey, just got back to the boat after my trip with the towing, and the primary reason I'm here this particular weekend is because it's going to get real cold here, and I didn't drain the cooling water from the engine, and I certainly don't want that cooling water to break my engine even more than it is. So I'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and tighten up that prop shaft packing gland because it's dripping way too much or way more than it needs to. Certainly if I'm not moving the boat, I'll cinch that down a little bit and maybe start preparing the engine for removal. Okay, the drain for the cooling water is right back. It's this one right here. So here we have the stuffing box. It's dripping about once every 4 seconds right now. Way too much. There we go. Just want to crack that loose. Back this up a little bit. I'm upside down and the force of gravity is it's not helpful in this case. So I want to just push this around here. So hopefully that will stop it dripping. I don't know how these can come off. They twist or just pull them off. Oh, yeah, just pull them off. Disconnect some of this wiring. I'm taking pictures of all the connections so I can refer back because I will never remember. The manual says for cold weather storage I should open up the raw water pump, let that drain out, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take the hose off. Drain the fresh water tank. I'm glad I installed this drainage hose, this siphon hose. Makes it a lot easier. It's going up slowly. I got a good start on disconnecting everything from the engine. I'm calling it quits for the day. Head on home and I'll be back soon. Okay, finally back at the boat. Okay, I got the bolts out of the coupling here. I put a little block of wood underneath the prop shaft. I don't know if it's going to move or not. If anybody knows what should be done there, I appreciate it. All I've got to do now is unbolt the motor. Yeah, there we go. All right, I've got the engine back to a place where I can work on it, and just did a little cleanup. I mean, just a little bit of a 409 spray with some rags. A lot of the paint is gone now, so there's a bit of rust here and there, but we'll start working on it here later tonight. I am here with my son Will, who is going to help me with this endeavor.
Hello.
And the idea here is not a complete rebuild, but what we're going to do is we're going to take off the head cover. We're going to take off the head. We're going to re-lap the valves. We're going to inspect the fuel injector, thank you, to see how that's firing and maybe clean it or replace it if necessary. We're not going to touch any of the high pressure fuel pump, which is back in here, but we'll replace some of the exterior oil passages, hopefully fix that leaking banjo bolt that was over this way. This is what I found in my video taking the boat from Anacortes up to Portland. And then we're going to go ahead and sneak underneath the engine down here eventually, open up the bottom of the pan, and then get at the piston and replace the piston rings. Maybe even hone the cylinder. But that's the extent of what we're doing. You know, a couple other small things on the outside of it. I may even go so far as to paint the thing, but this is where we're at, and we're going to start by taking off that head cover.
That looks pretty clean in there.
High pressure fuel line from the fuel pump to the injector. So oftentimes the injector is stuck in the head, and the easiest way to get it out is to just loosen these nuts up a little bit, leave everything intact, but then turn the engine over to use the compression to pop it out the top. And that's what we're going to try now, although as you can see we don't have much room to work with. We're going to see what happens here.
Alright, so we went to take this top bolt off here to get this off because the compression stroke didn't seem to be pushing it out, but I think it actually did do the trick. This thing seems loose.
Yeah, so let's get that banjo bolt off and we'll go from there.
Yeah, are we worried about this surface here? Or can I just... Now, see, now we're losing compression through here where the spot where it's loose. Alright, so here's what we got going on here. Got the battery going up to the starter. We couldn't get enough oomph with the hand crank. So we're going to try to, theoretically, I think we bridge these two and hopefully it'll turn over and give us enough pressure to pop this out.
It's not drawn enough. It's not doing enough. Okay, after some problems with the starter, I bought a new solenoid. And we've got that connected. I checked the starter, it works fine. We've got it connected now, positive to the B terminal on the outside there. We've got a little handheld switch that Will has, and then we've got the ground on the back side of the engine. Let's go ahead and get this connected here. Just got this battery. Okay, so we're going to watch up here, and hopefully this comes popping out when we turn it over. So watch there. What's going on here? Okay, take two.
All right, let's try this again.
Take three.
Okay.
I mean, it's just weird that, like, because we got all this juice.
Yeah.
And then it's just not going there. Like, that's...
Take 5, take 4.
Yeah, take a lot more.
Okay.
The battery we're using has 12.6 volts on it, so it really should turn this motor over without any trouble. Okay, let's check the voltage. We'll check the voltage here. Maybe we'll get the head cover back on it so we can use the decompression. Should have 12 volts. I'm going from the stud too, not the stud to this thing. 12.53.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got the head cover back on it, so we can use the decompression right over here to try to alleviate some of the compression. Okay. And then, so let's go ahead and try this again here. Okay, let's try this again.
Okay. Yeah, I see no movement at all.
None whatsoever. But I'm more concerned now that this it's not even turning over the engine. Like, this is really bizarre. Okay, we just hooked up we just got some regular cables here and hooked them properly into the stud here, into the battery post here on the solenoid of the starter. Ran them directly down to this battery here. That still has 12.5, 12.6 volts on it. Should be okay. Let's see if we can actually get this thing started, or not started, but turned over.
There it is. Well, it didn't go, but at least it's turning over.
It didn't go, okay, but at least it's going. Okay, so let's...
So what are our connections? So that's good. So you know those bad cables then now.
Okay, so we're still looking up here. We're still trying to get this injector out, so let's see if we can do that. There it is! We got it!
Finally!
All right. It only took us 12 tries.
It took us a week.
Okay, now that that's worked, we'll get this starter back off. We'll go ahead and drain the oil back out of it, and then we'll get to removing a few pieces off the head to remove the head. We'll remove the pieces, the fuel filter over here, this lifting bracket here, and whatever else has to come off. I guess this is the oil fill. This is the bottom of this is the one that's leaking right down. Well,
yeah, it's right here.
and then here's the here's where that drip was down here, the bottom of this tube.
You can see actually just from us turning it over, just to start the engine or just to get the injector out. You can see there's a big puddle on the ground there. This is the thermostat here. I'm gonna go ahead and take this thermostat out, just so that way when we pull the head off, this doesn't obstruct what we're trying to do. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, looking a little crusty, and looking real corroded in there. And that's what raw water, so makes sense.
We'll probably should have done it before we took the whole engine apart, but that's okay. Is run, I think, vinegar through the engine, and I mean we could do that obviously after we get it back together, but yeah, that'll help open up those passages.
And we're gonna replace this line as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and start taking this
yeah,
off.
all the rubber hoses I got replacements for. Take this line off here. Fuel. This is from the high. No, this is the feed to the high pressure fuel pump up here.
Wow. All right.
And while we're doing this, I'm making a list on my phone for all the parts we need to replace, like all these banjo fittings. I already put a big order in, but I didn't actually consider the fuel lines.
There's the bottom, and there's the top. Whew! That thing is...
Is it full? I mean, is it... Oh, it is. Look at all that. So next we'll go ahead and get this this banjo fitting off of the lift pump off here, and this fuel line goes right up here to the back of the inlet to the primary filter right here. Okay, we'll go ahead and take the mounting bracket off for the
Let me get a bigger driver.
The primary fuel filter. We're going to strip the head so that we can fit it into a sonic cleaning tank once we get all these pieces off. Okay, let's take the rockers off.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna remove this here thermostat.
It's all kind of cruddy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull that head off now. Take those studs off.
Oh, cracked my back. Nice.
I have a longer wrench if we need one.
That should do it. That should be just fine. There we go. All right.
Okay. So that
Moment of truth here.
I would be surprised if it just popped off, but
Yeah.
there it goes.
Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of oil in there.
A lot of oil in there. Huh.
Okay. That's fine. We have the ability to clean things.
All right, so we've just taken the head off, and you can see this is probably the best one here. And it's still not looking great, still pretty clogged, but then you can look at all these other water galleries here that are really clogged up and full. The head gasket coming off here. I think seen better days.
Okay, well, you can see that the engine is fully back together now, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get to that in a moment. But like I said in the previous screen there, a couple people have checked the bore when I had the head off, and one thought it should really be resized, and a new piston, oversized piston, should be added. Another thought that really it could use a hone and new rings, which is really what I'm hoping. And that has been a long progress. All of this, I'm new to this. I'm learning as I go, as you can clearly see in the video. And that's okay. This is part of the reason I have the engine out, and I'm going through this process because I want to know this engine really well. I was looking into overboring it, and I found an oversized piston and ring set that I could purchase from the United Kingdom. But what I found out when I talked to the machine shop is I'd have to essentially strip everything off the engine and deliver to them only, well, I'm pointing at the head, only the block. And the block would have to be stripped clean. The crankshaft, everything would have to come off of it. And that really is beyond my expertise and my comfort level. And so not wanting to do that, I decided to take a step back. And this is where we come to the fact that the engine is back together now. I decided that really what I should have done from the start is to keep the engine the way it was and to get a compression test. At least that way I'll know where I stand. The engine's back together to do that. And then also, as you saw, that the cooling passages were really calcified. And I thought it better to run the engine now and put some muriatic acid through it to help clear those passages before I take it apart again, so that I can see it before and after and get some sort of baseline here. So that's what I'm going to do. The whole process is a very, very lengthy for me. I'm still working full time. I sit and think about it a considerable amount. I have to order parts, and all of this is time consuming, and therefore the lack of videos lately. But I did recently get the engine running again. I ran some muriatic acid, diluted muriatic acid through the engine to clear that up, and that will come in a future video. But right now I'm waiting for parts so that I can actually take a compression test on this thing, and that will be in a future video too. So the work continues. Hey, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps.